Going back to his question about the defense and creating turnovers and stuff. Last year, it was kind of mentioned that Trayvon Stewart and Adrian McDonald were the two guys in practice. That's what they want to do. Is that still the case today? Is that still something in practice that they're scrambling on the ball and trying to hawk?
Absolutely. And again, it's just not those two that are doing it, and it's not. I could stand up here and say it's a daily basis. It's an every play basis, and whether it's 7-on-7 or what we call inside run, where we're just working our run game and there's no receivers or corners involved, but the safeties are down there. Team period, certainly, one-on-one, just receivers against DBs. Anytime an offensive player has the football in his hands, and really and truly, and I don't know how often this goes on at other programs, but even after the whistle has blown, they're still trying to punch the ball out. So our offensive coaches ended up going to this season, starting in August, that when the play is over and the whistle's blown, the offensive ball carrier bring the football back to the huddle and then hand it to the manager at the line of scrimmage, because what was happening is the whistle would blow, running back might be 20 yards downfield, and the whistle blows, the play's over, and he mentally loosens up, so he's jogging back with the football, and here comes a defensive player to punch it out, at which point then the offensive coaches are getting onto that running back, even though the play had ended 9 seconds earlier. So it makes our ball security on offense better. I think I was looking at this, I think through 4 games we've lost 4 fumbles on offense, and if I'm not mistaken, one of the fumbles was a mishandled punt in the Grambling game, and another fumble was a miscommunication on a snap in our first game that hit our quarterback in the head and was recovered. So we've really lost. We've lost 4 fumbles, but we've really had 2 significant times where the ball's been jarred out of a offensive ball carrier's hands in 4 games. So it's made our offensive ball security better, and then certainly what we're doing in games defensively is the direct result of how we practice. Well, we teach it and we practice it, and again, anytime you're talking about practicing something, you want to have so many repetitions at it that it becomes natural when they're competing, when they're in the game. And Adrian McDonald's a young man I've talked about certainly at length for the last couple of years. It's a high school quarterback from Oklahoma, and we move him to play defensive back here. But I think the two go hand in hand. One, we taught him the skill, if you will, but 2, he's practiced it so much, certainly bought into it so much that it's become just second nature to him. Again, I've joked before that I'll be walking down by my office down the hallway carrying a notepad, and all of a sudden Adrian McDonald would come up behind me and punch it out of my hands, and that's just the way he carries himself on the field. And I think taking it the next step, if you will, and what I think I would hope people see is the first thing you have to do is secure the tackle. So he's got it to a point in Trayvon Stewart, a lot of our defensive student athletes, to where the tackle's secured first and foremost, and then they're trying to rip the football out, punch the football out. And again, it may look in the stands or on television like, well, they're just punching the football, but there's specific techniques we teach them with the opponent's hands, fingers, where the ball's being held. If it's held at a certain point, you would punch upward, downward, and certainly how to tackle to where again, these young men are doing it so much. I think they're getting really good at it.
As you start conference play now, with UCF coming up and you go on the road at Memphis, and they're always tough up there, are you happy that your offensive line is sort of looking like they're establishing that, because the running game for an offensive line is about imposing your will, pushing people around. We're coming at you, and your line seems to be getting in that mentality. Do you like that as you start conference play now?
I do, and what I like as much as anything when you talk about our offensive line is I think they're just playing better together right now, certainly than they did in the first game, and I think even the second and the third. Whether it's the run game, and again, we've got a little bit more run game in this year than we've had in years past, and again, we're coming out of games with minimal assignment errors. up front, which tells me certainly they understand what they're supposed to do, but I think when you talk about these 5 young men playing together and communicating together, I think they're doing a great job. And in a short amount of time, relatively short amount of time, when you think of our starting left guard, Ben Dew's been here a couple months, our starting left tackle, Travis Cross, has really been here 2 months. I think they're, in a short amount of time, they've improved individually, and they certainly collectively as well.
This game with UCF, it seems to come down to 1 or 2 big plays, either early or late. You know, how important is it for you guys to start off the game fast?
I think it is important. I think, you know, one thing we've talked about as a staff this week is you know, when you look back at the 4 games we've played so far this season, and again, I don't look at some of the stats you guys probably look at in terms of, you know, when they play on this night of the week, here's their record, and when they're on this channel, here's what their record is all time. But we've gotten off to slow starts in 4 games, and when you get behind, panic doesn't set in, but you can have a tendency to maybe change subtle aspects of your game plan due to falling behind. So we would like to start fast, and again, I think you're always cautious to stand up in front of your team and say, hey, we've got to start fast this week. In case you don't start fast, it's still a 3.5-hour contest. So you know, it's we've had a good practice. Had good practices last week, and I think you know, certainly Central Florida's got the bye heading into the contest Thursday night as well, but it gives both programs an opportunity to get a little bit extra game planning and practice time heading in, which I think can help as well. And
nationally televised game again this week. I think you guys played on Thursday, UCF last year, right? Or it was a night game on?
I think it was Saturday, but
Saturday. You know, a chance to show off your program again. You know, how did the kids know how important that is, and you know, do you talk to them about that going into a matchup? Really
don't. And again, do our student athletes know we're playing on ESPN Thursday night? Yes, they do. You know, what we talk to them about is here's what we have to do to win the football game. So, you know, we're focused on, I think, the little things, the details, and what we've got to do in all 3 phases to be successful, and not necessarily spend as much time talking about the fact that this game's going to be on television. I think when you start talking about those things or looking for ideas or ways to motivate, you know, I don't think, regardless of our opponent, I don't think our young men need motivation to play every week, and we're more focused right now on just what we feel like we need to do to win.
What have you guys been talking to with John in practice about, you know, his progressions and stuff? You're still kind of, you know, with the interceptions, kind of still an issue.
Say it again.
Yeah, with John Elkhorn, what have you guys been talking to him in practice, trying to get better and just overall confidence-wise?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't think, you know, I think a couple of things. I don't think he's got a lack of confidence. You know, certainly regardless of position, making sure they know their assignment, know where the ball needs to go in terms of when you're talking about quarterback. You know, we've had a couple interceptions where the ball is going to the right receiver, but the throw is off, and or the throw is a little bit late. I think trusting the 5 linemen up front and your back to give you time to stand in the pocket and go through your progression, make your reads, and keep your eyes downfield. And you know, I think he's done that well at times. I think specifically the 4 quarters of the BYU game comes to mind. So I thought he had certainly a much better second half against UNLV than he did the first 30 minutes. And I think he's had a good week of practice so far here, and I know he's looking forward to getting out there Thursday night. Well, we did play both of them, but yeah, Logan will continue to punt. in all areas of the field this week. Dylan continued to be our holder. Anything else? All right, thank you.